Hello, everybody. So for today's story sharing, I got a short one for you guys. It's kind of an odd story, so bear with me. So I have a cousin, a female cousin named Cheryl. Now, Cheryl and I are pretty close. We talked a lot. In fact, we went to colleges that were very close to each other for a time. So we got to share a lot of ideas with each other. One of the ideas that we shared back and forth was this really funny one. I think it all started with a question, because I'm not sure if it was an anime or if it was another show or movie that I saw, but I kind of wondered what would happen if one of the family shrank or was shorter, or maybe they were born shorter. And so, of course, Cheryl's like, I don't know. I don't know what we do about that. That'd be kind of great. So we had fun tossing back and forth ideas. How would this work? Like, what would you do about this? Probably a part of it was probably I was inspired by the movie Stuart Little, because I thought it was really creative how, you have this little brother who's the size of a mouse, because he is a mouse, and all the creative ways they allowed him to work and act and move around inside the house easily. That was a really cool idea. And also there was the Miyazaki movie, The Secret World of Arietti, which, again, very creative way of talking about, like, little people. And so, at first the story started out with, like, the story of, two cousins, one of them, shrinking to be, like, the size of a mouse. But we didn't really like that story. It wasn't going in any good direction that we really enjoyed. We were kind of like, this isn't working the way we wanted it to. So we rewrote it. We rethought it out, and it ended up making it into something a lot better. Instead of the cousin shrinking, the cousin was born that way. They were a fairy from birth, so they're actually a fairy. His mother and father found him when he was just a baby in a flower petal, and they took him in, raised him, but as he's gotten older, he's wanted to go off on his own, go to college, all that kind of stuff, but of course he's a fairy and no one knows about him, so his parents are like, no, we don't want you to go to college. But one day, after having a big argument about that very thing, he flies out of the house to get away from them. And when he comes back, they've been murdered. He doesn't know who did it. He doesn't know why. He doesn't know anything about that. But in a panic, he tries to find someone to help. He knows he can't go to the police because, he's a fairy. What are they going to do about that? Probably just think they're insane, right? So he flies to his cousin's house and tells her in the middle of the night. And they go and check it out and find out about the murder and all that. So part of the story was kind of a mystery thing, like finding out who killed the parents and why. The other part of it is the older cousin wants to go back to college. Like her break is almost over. She's going back to college, and he wants to go with her. Right? He wants to go with her because, he doesn't want to stay around his family's house anymore. He doesn't want to go back home. Like, it's very difficult for him to go back there. So they agree. And so Carol, that's what we named Cheryl's character, like the tall cousin, like the female cousin, she agrees to take him back with her. So it's kind of a coming of age thing. Like, he's actually getting to experience what college is like, even though she also has to keep him hidden. One of my favorite chapters was he kind of gets a feel for the room and accidentally gets stuck in the sock drawer. Like, it was kind of funny, and ends up turning that into his bed too, because the socks were comfortable to sleep on. Who would have thought? And also there was a bit where they go to the cafeteria, but Carol says, why don't you wait in my bag, Michael, and you hide out in here. I'll bring you some food. And Michael's like, oh, no way. No way, Jose. I'm going to check this out. I've never been inside a cafeteria before. I want to see it. So he decides to fly out and fly around and see what he can find. And he runs the risk of getting caught several times, which was kind of fun to write. But the other aspect of the story that I thought was kind of unique was eventually in the story we were going to have it where he actually meets other fairies, ones that weren't raised by humans. And he kind of feels torn. Does he go with his own kind, or does he stay with his family? And so, obviously, he'd feel more comfortable with his own kind, right? Or would that be too much of a culture shock for him? Like, it's one of those things that I was really wanting to play more with the story. But then what really happened was other stories got in the way. Lots of changes in life showed up. And so that story kind of petered out. Like I've said before, sometimes what happens is I'll have a really cool idea floating in my head, but then the rotating door that is my mind will just see it out the door, and I don't have anything to hold it in place. As you can see, I only have like a picture here or there for the story. There wasn't a lot of passion or love for it from any of my friends that I told about it. Only me and Carol really cared about it. Only me and Cheryl really cared about it. And even that we didn't talk about a whole lot. So without someone else saying, hey, I really like this story, I hope we can continue it, or to bounce ideas off of, it kind of just petered out, which is very much a shame. It was kind of a fun little romp that I enjoyed working on. So there is that. If you guys want to read what it is or read how it started, like, feel free. Like, it is on DeviantArt. You can go check it out. But really, it's kind of one of these side stories that I regret not doing more with it. But at the same time, if no one else really cared for it, maybe it's for the best. I appreciate Hannah drawing me the really good picture for it. Like, I appreciated her doing that. And I appreciated a few other friends of mine drawing some pictures for it as well. But for the most part, this was a story that, it could have been a lot better than it was. But for what it was a creative idea. Maybe one day I'll go back and rethink it and rewrite it, because I still have ideas. It's just, no, I don't feel motivated. There's no one out there really pushing me to, like, hey, Raven, you better continue this. Like, no one's really calling for me to do that. They're calling for me to continue stuff like Monster Club, or Metamorphosis, or Witch's Pilgrimage, or Upon the Stars. Some of those stories you don't know about yet, and I'll tell you about them some other time. But anyway, that's all I have to say for this video. I know it's short, but this is a short story. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoy. I hope that you have a great rest of your week, and I will see you in my next video. Take care.